You're right. From the NFL as a whole, I've never understood why teams in this league and most organizations value uncertainty in those lottery tickets, as you call them, the draft picks, over proven guys, over guys can play.
John, tell me this then. With Howie looking at the combines, the way everything is set up, it looks to me like, it's funny. There's no quarterback, John, that people are really circling right now that look like they're saying this. That guy is a game changing type guy. However, when I look at this particular draft here and I look at the combine, I see a lot of talented people in the O line, the D line. I think there's a bunch of edge rushers. You may get guys, corners, and safeties in the second, third, and fourth round that could be very productive to a roster, especially with all the picks that the Eagles have. How does Howie look at the combines in the NFL draft? I mean, look, and know this, John, the old school way is building through the draft. But if anything has shown us the last 2 years, the Buccaneers built it through free agency. They went out, got Tom Brady. They added Gronk. They got Antonio Brown. They had core guys in there. They did. Jason Light did a really nice job putting core guys in there. But then turn around and look what the Rams do. They push, I don't know when they have a first-round pick again. They pushed all their chips in, right? They look at how much assets they gave up for Jalen Ramsey. You've got Aaron Donald. There's no coincidence that the two positions that they have on the team, they have the two best players at their respective positions. A lockdown corner in Jameis Winston or Jalen with Ramsey, and they have the best pass rusher in Aaron Donald. So my question would be this then. Is the new way of building teams more in free agency or the combine still in the draft and how he sees that he can build this football team? Because to me, John, I tell everyone this. Okay, draft choices are like lottery tickets. Free agency, they're your chips of gold. You know what the value is. You know what you're getting when you get this guy here and this free agent here versus what you think this kid can do when he comes out of college. What do you think the organization is when it comes to watching what teams have done over the last 2 years?
Well, if you go back to when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I think it's always a combination, Dan. I mean, people forget, the Rams, everybody talks about the Rams and Matthew Stafford and Jalen Ramsey, as you mentioned, Von Miller, bringing in Odell Beckham later in the process. The two best players on the Rams, defensively, one of the best players of all time, Aaron Donald, was a draft pick. Offensively, Cooper Kupp, obviously having a historic year, triple crown year, draft pick. So, Les Snead wore that T-shirt, F those picks, but he's maximized the picks he has used, and he's gotten some really, really good players later in the process. So, if you go back to the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl, people kind of forget Alshon Jeffrey it was they didn't make the splash, but it was Alshon Jeffrey, it was Patrick Robinson, it was Chris Long, it was LeGarrette Blount, all these veteran players, and it was more cost-effective route for the Eagles, but they hit on all of them. They hit on all of them that were significant contributors to that particular team. You're right. From the NFL as a whole, I've never understood why teams in this league and most organizations value uncertainty in those lottery tickets, as you call them, the draft picks, over proven guys, over guys can play. Now there's, Matthew Stafford is a fine line. If it doesn't work, you look terrible. For the Rams, it worked. And I think teams should be more willing to go after veteran players. If I'm the Eagles, for instance, a lot of people are talking about Amari Cooper. Well, Amari Cooper, if the Cowboys move on from him, he's not going to want to play here because they don't have a high volume quarterback. But you know who the Eagles could get? Another Alabama kid, Calvin Ridley. Now they have to do the due diligence and see where he is mentally, because he kind of tapped out last season for mental health issues. But they have a history of dealing with that and getting through it with Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson. My point is, though, you would be trading for Calvin Ridley. So he doesn't have a choice. He's not going to sit there and look at the landscape and say, oh, I'd rather go play for this quarterback because he throws for 4,500 yards. No, he's going to get traded. You're going to bring him in. Nice compliment to Devontae Smith, another Alabama guy. All of a sudden, you're starting to cook with gas. I don't know if you got the vehicle to get him the football, but maybe that comes down the line. So they got to be inventive the way they do things. I will say, I don't expect this team to take 3 first-round picks. Now, maybe they trade up, maybe they trade down, maybe they trade out, maybe they trade one of those picks for a veteran player. I don't expect them to take 3 first-round picks. So there's a lot of ways how we can go, and that's why this is such an important offseason.
It is. And John, when you're looking at some of these kids that are at the combines here, I got some names. I want to throw a couple names at you too, right where the Eagles are going to be selecting. Look, when you're talking about, the Evan Neals, and you're talking about the Hutchinsons, you're talking about the Stingleys, unless they do something creative, I'll say, in moving up and getting into the top 10, those players are going to be off limits. So what I want to do after the timeout here, I want to get an opportunity to throw some of these names at you and get you your thoughts, because some of these kids are really impressing people with their interviews in Indianapolis. Some of these guys are maybe a need on the team, but with how we'd go down that line, it just to me, free agency, there's a difference between free agency and the draft. And like you said, with these wide receivers, I'm not going to make a trade for Ridley, or I'm not going to make a trade and pay gigantic money for our Amari Cooper when I could get one of these guys in the 2nd or 3rd round. So we'll hit on all that. Let's take a brief timeout. Back in 3 minutes. Keep it here on the NFL Combine Special with McMullen and Sileo.